Welcome back to a new video, and on this occasion is the LAUNCHPAD Pro Sequencer and projects. Everything on this guide is in chapters. If you look at the description or the timeline, you can jump to a section or skip the ones you don't want. If you like this, please like and subscribe. This channel is supported by viewers only. If you want to buy me a coffee to say thanks and help the channel keep going on, you can. You have links in the description for PayPal, YouTube Thanks, and Patreon. In this video, I will explain how the sequencer and the projects work, not the rest of the device. If you want to learn how everything else works, check the cards at the top or the links at the description, because I already made a video deep diving everything else. Okay, so let's start with the basics. When you go to the sequencer, you have 4 different tracks of 32 different steps. Right here, you can see all the steps that you have available. The sequences are completely independent from the DAW, so you can connect something at the back, the MIDI connector, and you can control or just, sequence external gear. And I guess, that's the whole point. Now, when standing on the sequencer function, the sequencer mode, at the bottom right here, you can see the colors. These are the 4 tracks. The first one is going to be like an orange. When you go to the second track, it's going to be purple. And this is the modes. They change a little bit right here. Then you have the green one. And then you have, I guess this is a pink one. Now notice that the first sequence is a little bit different. This one is a drum sequence, and the other ones are melodic sequences. Maybe the camera, because this is a little bit too bright. Even though the device is all the way down in brightness, it is still very bright for the screen. At least for the screen. So you have the melodic. This is this is actually a keyboard, and you have different modes. But the first one is it's going to be a drum. So right here, you have the drum. How can you change the layouts? You need to go to Shift, and you hold the Shift, and you go to Sequencer. And this works just like, the note and the chord. Right here, you access to the configuration of each sequencer. And while standing on the settings screen, you can go to the sequence 2, configurations of the 2, the 3, and the 4, and so on and so on. I'm going to go to the first one. So right here at the top, you have the different modes. These ones are the layouts. The first one is going to be a drum. So we know that if I go out and go to this, we get the drum layout. But if I go back, this one is going to be the type of scale mode. If I get out, notice that now we get, we get a scale. It's going to be the first and the last key and everything in between. And right here, it works again like the notes and the chords. If I go to Shift and go back to Sequencer, I go to the last mode. And now instead of getting a scale, what we get is going to be the key, just keyboard. We get all the white keys at the bottom and then the black keys at the top. And, we have 1 octave up and 1 octave down. Right, so if I go to Shift and go back to the sequencer, right here below, it's again just like the notes and the chords. Right here, you have your different scales on this, both rows, and you have the major, minor scale, major scale, the blues and the pentatonic, and so on and so on. Again, if you're a little bit confused about this, just watch the previous the deep dive I made about the whole device. So when you choose a scale, of course, you need to choose a root. So this is going to be your scale, and right here, the purple one is going to be the root. If I'm working with C minor, and you want a C minor scale, right? So this is going to be the configuration. But if you want an F minor scale, you need to select an F. And of course, whatever is that you do right here, depending on the layout, if I go to scale mode, is going to give you an F minor scale. If I go to Shift and Sequencer, I could go to, I guess this one is the pentatonic. I'm not sure, I guess this one. Notice that we have less notes. I'm going to go back, and you have a shorter type of keyboard because, you have less notes. It's a pentatonic scale. And right here again, you just need to select whatever scale that you want. Now, of course, since you have 4 different tracks, at some point, you're going to be outputting MIDI to someplace else. All the different tracks, they will output MIDI information to different channels. And the last 2 rows are going to be about that. So if I'm on the orange one, the orange is going to the 1, the purple one is going to the MIDI channel number 2, then the third 3, and the 4. But you can't change this. If I'm selecting the orange and I want to change the orange to go to the channel 16, I just need to change it to the 16 and it will go to the 16. Now in this case, I'm just going to keep like the default configuration, which is 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And now at some point, if of course you want to control something else with the MIDI or the USB, you need to set it up. In my case, I'm going to use a DAW. It doesn't matter which DAW, it works exactly the same. I'm not using external gear because of, it's much easier to record and record the screen. So if I go to the DAW, you can see on the DAW, the first track is listening to the Launchpad and the channel number 1. So it's going to be listening for the first one. Then the second one is to the 2, then the 3, and then the 4. And just like any DAW, you need to arm the track to listen to whatever the sequence it's doing. In this case, I'm going to hold, in the case of Ableton, I'm going to do Control, and I'm going to enable or arm all the tracks. So whatever is that I do, in the case of the, let me go back, the first one, the orange one, I'm going to use the drum mode. I'm going to go right here, and now, every time I play something, it's just listening to that track. If I go to the second track, I have a bass, the other one is going to be a synth, and on this one, I really don't remember. Alright, so one more thing before we go. When you are recording, if you want to play back whatever it is that you do right here, of course, pressing play will play back, but it will not play back the DAW, right? It's just playing the internal sequencer. And right here you have your keyboard. Whatever it is that you play is what you can listen, and right here with this ones you can transpose whatever that is that you're using right here. I'm gonna maybe go back to defaults by pressing both at the same time. One thing that you should know is that if you just press play and it stops right there, if you hold shift and you press play, it will continue from here. So we'll just, resume from that step on. All right, so I'm on the drum sequence. I want to create some, to create a sequence. And you have two ways to do this. You can add it manually, or you just can live record. If I wanted to maybe add a kick, I can hold a step and just add the kick right there, and it's going to be there. If I add it here, here, and here, it's just going to be doing it for me. If I play it back, you have a 4 and the 4. If I want to clear a step, and I mean kaboom, everything that is inside that step, I can hold clear, just, press the steps, and it's going to delete it. So this is one way of doing it, pressing the step and, tapping whatever note is that you want. But you can do it the other way. I can hold this one and then go here and just add all the kicks right there. And if I play it back, we get, it's just the same thing but backwards. Now I'm going to be recording some snares. I'm going to hold this one, and I'm going to be doing something like that. Something, that makes sense. Oh, there you go. So again, we have a 4 on the floor. And what I want to do, I want to remove some notes, but I don't want to clear everything. So if you press and hold that step, notice that maybe the camera is not so generous, but this one, the kick is red and the snare is red. It's letting me know that we are playing these notes on that step. So if I wanted to, by holding this, I can remove the snare and leave the kick alone, and same for the rest of the steps. Again, pretty simple. I'm going to hold clear, and I'm going to remove all the different steps, and maybe I'm gonna, remove that one as well. So I'm gonna go here and add a kick and add a snare. So what I want to do, I want to copy that snare, that step, and paste it on different places. I'm gonna go to duplicate. You can see the duplicate right here. I'm gonna press and hold, and now I can press a step. And notice that it turns a little bit green. Maybe again, the camera is not so generous, but it's green. So without releasing the duplicate, I can just press the other steps and it's going to paste it. So again, by holding and tapping copies, and then tap the other ones to paste. And if I play it back, we get it. Cool. All right, so I have a 4 on the floor. What I want to do, I'm going to play it back. I'm going to go to the second track, and this is just a bass. Doesn't matter. So what I want to do, I want to do some live recording. How can we record live? Now, this device has no click track, so, you need to take that into account. So I'm using the kick and the snare as a metronome. So, how can you record? Well, you have right here the record. As soon as you play it, it turns red, and now you just need to play to record something. And there you go. I don't know. Cannot get easier than that. Just like before, if you want to get out of the record mode, you just tap it and you get out. And if you want to edit your sequence just like we did before, it's just, pretty much the same way. You just hold it, you add the notes that you want if you want to add notes, or you remove the notes, or you just go to clear and then just clear the step. Now I'm going to be maybe adding one single note right here, one here, one here, one here. You're going to see why in a minute. So I know it's a very dumb sequence. Now, what you can do is by holding the step, notice that it turns green. First, it's red because it's on edit mode, but then it turns green. While holding it, I can just tap other steps, and what this does is going to change the gate length of that step. So if now I play it, it's going to be a much longer note. I'm going to be doing it on this one. It's going to be long, short, short. Now, how can I edit this? If I changed it, maybe I want to change it back, I'm going to press and hold, it turns green, and it tells me that it's super long. I want to change it, you can just change it like that. Now the thing is that if I wanted to go back to 1, if I go to 2, I cannot press this one because I'm already pressing it. So you go to 2, you tap the number 2, and it goes to 1, and you're back to default. Alright, so this is how you can record sequences live and how you can edit some sequences. Now the thing is that you have a lot more power right here. You have a lot of options, like the pattern settings. There's a lot you can do right here. Change the velocity, probability, mutations, microsteps. We can do a lot, and then we can change and create scenes and patterns. And okay, so I have just a kick and a bass going on right here on the sequence 1 and the number 2. Something, super simple. Now I'm going to go maybe to the track number 3, and I have a different sound loaded there. And right here, it's just, it sounds like that. What I want to do on this one, on the track number 3, I want to go to pattern settings. So if I go to the pattern settings, this will give you, some settings about the pattern. Right here, what you can do, you can change the rate. And notice it also gives you the keyboard, so you can record something on the pattern settings mode. I'm gonna live record, and I'm gonna be playing back, and I want to again record something really simple, something like that. You're gonna see why. I'm gonna get out of the record, and I'm gonna stop the playback. So right here you have 2 rows with different options, and notice that the last one, it's a little bit different. So by default, this one is selected. Again, maybe the camera, this is too bright and you don't see it. This one is the rate, and you can use 1 4 triplet, then 8, then 8 triplet, then 116, 16 triplets, then 30 seconds and 30 seconds triplets. So if I stay right here again, this is the default. But if I go here, it's going to be the rate is going to be much slower. So right here you offset, of course, the rate of the sequence. If I go to something super fast, and notice that it needs to go through a whole cycle in order to restart. If I'm playing back, this one is super. Let me just stop it. I'm gonna go to super slow, and it's gonna be super slow. So if I change it back to 16s, it will not do 16s. It needs to complete the whole cycle in order to start again playing 16 notes. And it's taking a while. And there we go. Now it's back to normal. And this is actually, again, super useful because it's going to wait the whole cycle. Alright, so this is one of the things that it can do. The other thing is going to be the playback direction. So I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to record and just record something else. Alright, that's fine. I'm gonna get out of the record mode, and I'm gonna stop it. Right here you have your playback modes. This one is gonna be forwards, and notice that it's on by default. And it's it's gonna play forwards. If I go to this one, now it's gonna go backwards. And it's only backwards. If I go to this one, this is the ping pong. It's gonna go forwards and then backwards, forwards and backwards. And I guess it makes sense. What happens if I play this? This one is going to be just, random. And it works just like they're setting the rate. It needs to complete a whole cycle in order to restart and use the new mode. And it's random, just random. It's, pretty cool. Right. The other thing that you can do on the pattern settings, it's selecting the last step. I'm gonna go just to forwards because it's just a little bit easier to hear. Right here on the this one is different. If I tap something else, notice that it changes. The notes in red are the notes that we are just kind of cutting out because I'm making the sequence just 4 steps long because this is the last step. If I want to go back to the to 32 steps long, we can. But notice that by trimming the length of the scale, we don't remove the notes that are already there, the steps that we have already there. Now, what if I want to offset the start? Now, you can. I'm going to go to Shift and make sure that, of course, you are on pattern settings. I'm going to hold the Shift, and now notice it changes from here, from the last step to the first step. So now it's going to start here, and maybe it's going to end here. So we can do something like this, and it's super cool. All right. If I want to go again to last step, it's going to be the last, and this one is going to be the first. Alright, so I'm gonna go to steps and I'm gonna clear all the different steps that I've recorded because I want to show you something else. If I play it back, now we have nothing. Now I'm gonna go to the next option, which is gonna be the velocity. So right here, it seems like, it looks like we have absolutely nothing. I'm gonna be recording something with different velocities. So every time that it goes to a step, it will show you the velocity of that step. I'm gonna get out of record right now. Now, this is the velocity. Of course, you can go to maybe a step and check the velocity of that step. Notice that it's giving us the velocity. And of course, I can edit the velocity if I want. I can hold that step. It shows me what am I using, and I'm gonna just make it super quiet. I'm gonna, make it super loud. Super quiet, and something in between. There you go. And now, of course, it's going to be a little bit different because we just edit the velocity. All right. So coming up next, it's the probability and then the mutation. So first, I'm going to go to probability, and you know what? I'm going to go to steps. I'm going to clear everything right here, and I'm going to add something super obvious, and I'm going to play it. Inside probability, what we can do is just hold it and it will give you, a range. And it's the same for all the steps. So here you can edit. This is going to be 100 all the way down to 13. The probability is 100. It means that this step will, will play because the chances are 100. So if I keep that one to 100, I know that that one will always play. But this one, if I go down, make it, I guess that one, it's 25%, I'm sorry, 38%. This one, I'm going to make it 13, maybe 25%. And this one, I'm going to make it, something like, I guess this is 63%. Yeah, 63. And it's 100, and you cannot change values manually. It's 100, 88, 75, 63, 50, then 38, 25, and 13. Now, the trick is, again, if I play it, some steps will play, some other steps will not play, and the whole thing restarts when the cycle ends, right? It's not like a one-shot deal, one-thing deal. Every time it restarts, it will kind of run the probability again, and it will play or not play. That's, I guess the idea when using probability. If you want to, of course, edit the whole damn thing, I'm going to hold that one, I'm going to hold this one, I'm going to go back to 100, and now all the steps will always play because it's just 100 for all of them. All right, so I'm going to go to the next one. The next one is going to be mutation. And the mutation, it's very similar to the probability. What it will do, it will just randomize the note values. And again, it works the same way. I'm going to hold it, and you get a value right there. Maybe you can see it, yeah. So if I keep going up and up and up and up, and you cannot go to the other one, it's not like the other steps, it's going to be max mutation. So it means that it will, randomize the note. So if I play it, And notice that on each cycle is something else. So that's what the mutation is. It will just randomize the values. And right here, when you set up, this is going to be the intensity of the mutation. If you want maybe just a tiny little bit, or you want to go really aggressive. Alright. And if you want to edit back to normal, you just press it, hold it, and you go back to normal. If I play it back, it's the same note we just created. Alright, so coming up next is going to be micro steps, and then we need to talk about the patterns. Alright, so I'm starting with the clean pattern, so I have nothing, and we need to talk about the micro steps. So that's pretty much what it is. It's going to be a retrigger. So I'm gonna go right here, I'm gonna hold that note, and I'm gonna go and press a step. It's gonna add it, but then while holding, you can change the steps. So this is the retrigger. 1 is gonna be 1, but then it's gonna be 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If I do 3, something like that is going to retrigger 3 times, because it's, 2, 3, and so on, 1, 2, 3, and so on. If I want to edit that note, I can just, I'm gonna stop it. I'm gonna go to that step, and it's gonna remove it by default, right? And the thing is that, yeah, it's a little bit, kind of a tricky to do. If I do 2, it's gonna be 2. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna add it here, but now I'm gonna make it, 3, so we can see it, hear it, 3, and then on this one, I'm gonna go and add maybe, something like that, 5. Right? I guess you get the idea, and on this one, I'm gonna do all. So this is what the micro step will do. And if you think about this, instead of micro steps, this is like a re-trigger. And the thing is that when you add them, when you edit a note, you do it something like that, it will do that. It will just do re-trigger it 6 times, or 3, or 4, or and so on and so on and so on. But I'm going to be going to clear and just clear everything. What you can do, I can add that step, and I can add that hat. I'm going to add it, but instead of doing 1, I'm going to be doing 6. And now on top, I'm going to be adding a kick, so we can hear that it's going to pretty much offset. So when you add that step and you add a micro step, that it's not using the 1, the 2, and 3, and you just add 5, 6, 2, or 3, or 4, is going to offset. So it's going to move it. But you cannot move it forwards. I'm sorry, yeah, forwards. You can only move it backwards. I guess that, that's how it works. I'm going to go hold the hat. I'm going to go to the micro step. And then I'm going to be doing 6, so we can hear the difference. And if I go here, I add 1 more. I'm going to do 6. And I'm just, giving you different examples. I'm going to go there. And this one is going to be, 3. And here is going to be, whatever. There we go. Now, of course, all of this, everything that we are doing right here is something that you can copy or duplicate and just paste it, because just creating all of this, sometimes it's a little bit funny, it's a little bit funky. So you can hold the duplicate, hold it, and just copy whatever it is that you have right here, and then, paste it right there, and it's gonna, copy and paste, just like we did before. So sometimes, you're gonna spend a little bit of time doing all of this, just configuring and creating the sequence, and you don't need to do it again on other steps. You just can duplicate and copy paste basically. All right. Right, so now it's time to talk about the patterns and the scenes, and we cover pretty much everything. This is how you can create sequences on this device, right? Just by using all of these options, you create your sequence. But then, of course, what you can do when you go to patterns is that each track can create 8 different variations. You can cue them in just like you would do on a DAW, for example. And right here at the bottom, you have these scenes. You can create combinations of the different patterns and store it on 16 different scenes. Okay, so let's just do it. I'm gonna go first. I have a clean pattern. I want to maybe add some kicks. I'm gonna again do something simple. I'm not gonna go nuts right here. If I play it, we have just the 4 in the floor. If I go to patterns, I can see that this is my pattern number 1. If I press this one, it's gonna go to the pattern number 2. which means, of course, it will cue it, but there's nothing inside. It kind of makes sense. If I press this, it's going to cue in the first pattern, and we know that we have a kick and snare. And, we just can create different variations and then cue them in manually. So the thing is that sometimes when you create a pattern, maybe you want to duplicate it so you can create a variation out of that. So for this, you need to go to duplicate. You just can press duplicate. You need to hold it and you press the pattern to copy. Notice it turns green. So now I can paste it. And if I press it there, it's pasting it. I'm going to paste it to the 3 and I'm going to paste it to the 4 as well. And you know what? I'm going to paste it to the 5. So now when I release and play back, is now playing the first, the first clip of the, all the clips. If I go to the second one, we have it. It's the same information. If I go to the third one, it's the same information. One thing that you should know, that when triggering or just queuing in the different patterns, you can do shift and instantly go to that pattern without waiting for the device to queue in the next pattern. All of this again, by holding shift, will instantly go to that pattern. If you want to clear the patterns, you can hold the clear, and just by tapping it is going to delete, the different patterns. I only have the number 1 right now. If I go to the 2, it's, gone. All right, so I'm going to go to the pattern number 1. I'm going to do duplicate. I'm going to copy that one. I'm going to paste, and I'm going to paste to the 2 and the 3. So now I know that I have the same variation on the pattern number 2. And what I want to do, I want to just create a variation. So I'm going to go back to the steps and I'm going to be maybe adding some hats. Something like that. So that's going to be my variation 2. Now I'm going to be going to the patterns. I'm going to be loading the other one and I'm going to be doing, something else. I'm going to go back to steps. Let's add, I'm going to be adding this one, something, really different. Something that we can really identify. All right. So if I go back to patterns, I know that this one is the one with that funky sound. The other one is going to be the one with the hats. And the first one is going to be the one with no hats. So we can really identify the 3 different patterns. And I'm doing all of this because what you can do, you can chain consecutive patterns. I'm going to be holding a pattern. I'm holding it. So now what we can do, I can do 2 or I can do 3, and it will just, chain the different patterns. It's going to chain 1, and it needs to be consecutive. So it's going to be 1, then 2, and then 3. Because, we don't have more. I could do, chain all the 8 different patterns. But now, if I play it, it's going to play the 1, and when it's done, it's going to go to the 2, and then, it's going to go to the 3, and so on and on and on. When it's done playing this back, it will just loop back to the first one, which is, cool. Right. One thing that you need to know is that when you have a chain, you don't store, never save the chain. Whenever you tap something manually, it will just disregard the chain and will play that pattern alone. Again, something that you must know. Now, what if I want to create different combinations of something else and then, trigger them like we would trigger, we would use or we would do on a DAW. So for that one, you have the scenes right here at the bottom. All right, so let's talk about scenes. I just created something simple. If I play it, I'm playing the first pattern of each track. If I go to the second one, I have a variation of the same track. Something dumb. If I go to the third pattern, it's going to be, something else. Because something completely different that we can, hear and identify. So now, what I want to do, I want to create variations, and you do it by scenes. If I go to the first scene and press it, it's going to be green, and it says that you have the first, and the first of each of the tracks. But if you press it and hold it, they turn red. So now you can just, choose and store to that scene whatever combination of, whatever variation you have. So let's say on the first one, I'm going to be playing that one, but I'm going to be doing 3, and on this one, I'm going to be doing 2. Right? I'm going to release it. So now I'm going to do the same, but for the scene number 2. So on this one, I'm going to be playing 3, then 1, and then, 3, whatever. And just like that, you just can create different combinations of whatever it is that you want to do. So now if I play it back, I'm going to be playing the first scene. And it's, that combination. What if I wanted to go to the next one? You just go to the next and it will play a different combination. Next scene is going to go to the next combination. And so on, and so on, and so on. I guess we don't have a scene right here. No, we don't. All right, so let me stop it. Now, another thing that you can do when using scenes, you can chain them just like we did with the patterns. If I hold this and go right there, notice it will change the scene 1, 2, and 3. So if I play it, it will go through all the sounds and it's just a little bit loud. There we go. Scene 2 and then the number 3. What happens when it ends? Well, it will go to the first one. Alright. What if you want to delete a scene? First, I'm going to show you something else. If you are playing the first scene, if you want to quickly maybe play the third one by holding shift, it's the same way we did with the patterns. By holding the shift, you just can go and just, instantly play the scene. If you want to delete the scene, you just need to do clear and just tap the scene and, that scene is back to nothing. And I'm going to do it for the other scenes. If I hold it and press and hold, I can edit the scenes if you want. But in this case, I'm just going to kaboom, delete it, and I'm going to delete that one. If I press and hold, all of the scenes are back, to the first one. I'm going to clear that one as well. All right, so this is how the scenes work. I'm going to be maybe creating a scene with the 2, 2, and 2. And we know that, it's a different scene. What if you want to, of course, duplicate that scene? You can. I'm going to hold, I'm going to press it, and then I'm going to paste it right here. Now, if I go to the second scene and hold it, I know that, it's a copy of the first scene. That's pretty much it. You just create different variations of your, different patterns. And then if you want, you chain them, or you can create, scenes. And there you go. You have a whole performance. But we need to discuss something else, something extra, which is going to be the projects. All right, so once you have your patterns ready and everything is just, done and you have your whole performance, you can store whatever it is that you did, and it will include the scales and all the configurations into one single project. And you have 64 slots where you can save your work. So to do so, once you are, standing on a project and you have everything ready, the only thing you need to do is you need to press Shift, and I need you to pay attention. Notice that all of this turns kind of a yellowish or maybe white. Well, I'm going to tap the projects, and at the bottom it says Save is the secondary function. So when I save it, it's going to take everything that you did. It's going to blink, of course, and if I go to projects, it's going to confirm the save. Now, if I get out of here and I go back to projects, notice that this one is selected. I'm going to go here. This one is highlighted. The other ones are dim. It means that this one store the whatever project or whatever sequence I have going on right here. Now, I can do something else. Let's say I want to save it to a different slot. I'm going to go to projects. I'm going to do Shift. I'm going to do Save. And now it starts blinking. So I could save it on the same slot if I wanted to, or maybe I can choose a different slot. And notice it blinks, and now it's saved to the slot number 2. And again, you can store the same sequence multiple times. And this is actually good, because when you are playing back, in this case I have nothing, but when you tap this project, it's going to start playing back whatever project that you have. And if you go to the next project, it's going to continue on the next project. And it's, super cool that you can store up to 64 projects. Now, when you do Shift and you do Save right here, notice it will blink. At the bottom, all the colors will blink too. So this means that you can maybe change the color. So I'm going to make it yellow. So now it's going to be yellow. And if I press it right here, it's going to save that project, the yellow project. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do Shift and Save, and now it's going to be, purple, and I'm going to save it, I don't know, there. And there you go. You can choose the color of a project. Sometimes, this is, very important, because maybe these ones are green and they belong to the same, track or performance. And maybe you have a lot of different projects that belong to the same performance, and you mark them as yellow or purple or, whatever color. And what if you want to delete a project? First, you need to load the project. I'm gonna load the purple one. I'm gonna hold clear, and notice that that is the one that it's the only one lonely project is selected. So once I'm holding clear, I'm gonna tap that one, and when I release it, and if I get out, notice that it's gone. So this is how you delete the projects. I'm gonna select it. I'm gonna clear. It's gone. I'm gonna select it. I'm gonna clear it. Gone. And if I want to delete this one, I'm gonna select it. I'm gonna clear, and it's gone. Cool. So very it's just a very cool device because you have all the tools that you get right here to use with your DAW or anything else. And the fact that you have an integrated sequencer where you can create scenes and patterns and then store it into projects is just a great device. And again, I'm going to give you my opinion. My opinion maybe doesn't matter because this is a guide, just a tutorial. But I think that this device is just a fantastic device. Novation never lets me down. Everything that I get from Novation is good quality. It always works fine. It works great. The integration is always great. And no one's paying me to say this. I'm just telling you this because this is just my opinion. I wish they pay me, or maybe I get a discount at getting something, which I don't, at least right now. That would be great. Novation, if you're listening. But yeah, I think they're just, the pads, the buttons, everything is great. Never had an issue with a Novation device. One more thing that you need to know when it comes to projects is that you can just connect it, go to the web application or maybe the native application, and you can create a backup of all your patterns and your different projects. Okay, so we are pretty much done. I guess I didn't cover the quantize, something I forgot to say. I covered this on the other tutorial, the deep dive of everything else. When you tap this, it's going to disable the quantization, and this one is going to enable it. I guess that's pretty much it. But I want to show you something else, which is going to be the print to clip, the last option. Now, maybe you're working on a standalone, which is fine, but if you have a sequence, maybe you want to print it to your DAW. If you're using Ableton, it's a pretty easy task. So when you're standing on the steps, I'm going to go to patterns. I have some drums. I'm going to play it. The bass is just the same, but I have 3 different variations of the drums with, some hats and then with some some open hats. Okay. So what I want to do, I want to print that clip into the Ableton or, DAW clip. So first of all, you need to go to a clip on your DAW. You need to select it. I'm doing it right now. And in the case of steps, I am on the sequence I want to print. I just need to go to print and I need to press it. When I do so, it's just going to go to the DAW and it's going to print that clip to that location. If I maybe go to the patterns and I just load the second pattern, I can do the same, right? I'm going to go print the clip and it will just go to the next row because this one is occupied. And it will just, print the other one and so on and so on and so on. So I guess, you got the point. If I go to patterns, we can do it from here if we wanted to. I'm going to go to the pattern number 1. I'm going to go to print the clip, but now I need to hold it. Now notice that the colors right here are blinking. It means that if whatever you have selected or whatever is playing back on your different patterns, that is the thing that is going to get printed. So I'm using the number 1, I press it and it's going to print it to the clip. All right, so another thing that you can do, if I hold, remember that we can create a chain. I have a chain now, so it's going to be the 1, the 2, and the 3. So if I print to clip and I press this one, now, of course, I need to hold it and press it again. It's going to print the whole damn thing, the whole chain. You can see the whole progression right here. So, it's just a very nice, useful, tiny little feature. All right, so we are done. If you liked all of this and you learned something new, please like and subscribe. And this channel is supported by viewers only. If you want to buy me a coffee to say thanks and help the channel keep going on, you can. You have links at the description for PayPal, YouTube Thanks, and Patreon.